if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet Union.
Hello comrades, and welcome back to the Ushanka Show. Today's video will be a little bit different. I would like to show you a picture from the Soviet Union from way back from 1976, taken in Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg. And we're gonna discuss this picture, kind of make a little investigation in the where in the world, I want to say Carmen Sandiego, but that'll be where in the world is Comrade Sandiegoff. So anyway, there's a short story before we looked at this picture. I got really lucky. I got lucky, but several years ago, distant relative of mine, it's even more like distant relative because it's a distant relative of my father-in-law, passed away. He lived all his life around Detroit, had a really good job. He was never married, and he spent all his free time traveling around the world. So he left behind, after he passed away, thousands of slides, at 70s, including pictures he took in Soviet Union, in Moscow and Leningrad and other cities in the middle of 70s. I finally found some time, and I started scanning. I bought a cheap scanner to digitize the slides, and there's one specific photo I came through, so I started posting them on Russian social media. There's a group of that people love to look at the old pictures of Leningrad, so I posted that picture there, and what the comments were just simply amazing. So I want to look at that photo again with you guys and tell you what can you deduct from looking at the photo, like what those people are doing, and it's quite amazing. So here's this picture. You could see 6 guys on the street standing by the grocery store. So it says gastronomia, and who is watching my channel already, I already talked about gastronom. So that was like a small grocery supermarket. So this is what the sign says, gastronomia, and then it says мясо, wine. So they stand on the street, and it looks like a bill. This person I mentioned, he took this photo from the bus driving by, or maybe he just kind of was walking and just took this candid shot, because you could see a couple of these guys actually looking at him, or looking straight into the camera. So what kind of logical deductions, like a Sherlock Holmes style, what you can make looking at this photo? I'll just try to do this work for you. So for example, if you're a person that anti-communist, and he would say, okay, so maybe that's the folks that are not happy with the Soviet regime, and they gathered together on the street talking about how they can resist the government and how they can organize, some kind of manifestation, something like that. So because the grocery store is empty, there's nothing to buy, they're upset. So this can be, I'm just, pulling it, what the people, anti-socialist viewers can come up with explanation what the 6 guys is up to. Now my other viewers, they were fans of the Soviet Union. They upset that Soviet Union collapsed. They're surprised that Soviet Union collapsed. They could say, well, this is workers that met maybe at lunch, and they're just discussing the news and what the Soviet government is doing for them, and they just kind of like having a nice chat, stuff like that. But both our answers are wrong. This is what people who lived back then could tell right away about the situation. Looking at this picture, look at these people, looking at the location, you could tell what they're up to. You could tell what time of the day it is, not using these clues about like how long the shade they, but you could tell amazing amount of things just looking at this quick street shot. Number one, the time of the day. It's about 10:45, 10:50 in the morning. So that's right before 11 a.m. Looking at this photo, this is what you could tell. Because it's middle of 1970s and alcohol was allowed to be sold only after 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. So by law, grocery store that carries alcohol, they'll sell you bread, they'll sell you all the grocery foodstuffs. Alcohol will be only sold starting at 11 a.m. So these guys are waiting for alcohol to start selling so they can buy some. The thing is, I noticed myself, looking at those guys, they look normal, but they are so alcoholics, or we call them alkash. You know, like we say in Russian the same alcoholic, but the slang word was alkash. So those alkashi, they are trying to dress nicely, so they kind of look okay, but look in their worn shoes, a couple of those guys have, and look at their faces. You could tell that they are hard drinkers. Interesting person is on the right. It looks like he's combing his hair, and it looks pretty greasy. The guy on the left, kind of staying way in the back, you could tell like he is really kind of like, I don't know, his face that shows like all he cares about, he wants to get drunk. Another interesting detail, it's 6 people. And if you remember, I already was saying the stories about alcohol in Soviet Union, that usually it will be at least 3 people per bottle. Because if you buy a bottle of vodka, it's too much for 1 or 2 guys. You won't make it home. For 3 people, if you have a 1 bottle for 3 people of vodka, it's enough to get drunk and have fun, but it's not too much. So here's a group of 6. So they're going to buy probably 2 bottles of vodka, and they split the money. So I don't remember how much exactly was the bottle of vodka. It was like 350 maybe, 3 rubles 50 kopecks. So they all pull money together, so it's not too much per person. And then they just take the bottles. Then they maybe go to those dispensers of soda and grab free glasses. So this was really handy. They'll find that soda dispenser machine, gazirovka, and they just steal a couple of glasses, and that's what they use to drink. And back then, I guess that was regularly replaced, or maybe if they're nice guys, they'll bring those glasses back. But that's usually, you buy a bottle of vodka. If you have extra money left, you buy some snacks, you know, maybe a little bit bread or cheese, and then you just find a spot somewhere that police, militia won't notice you, and then you just hang out, drink, talk, and then after you're done, you're drunk, you just stagger back home. So look how many interesting details you can learn if you know what you're looking at. You can find out what time of the day it was, what these people up to, and all these other interesting details. And I just want to tell you a couple of details. So in May of 1972, the Soviet ministry, Soviet Minister of the USSR, so that's like a government, Soviet government, had the law number 361 about increasing fighting against drunkenness and alcoholism. And by that law, anything stronger than 30% alcohol could be sold only not earlier than 11 a.m. and no later than 7 p.m. But if the grocery store opened later than 7 p.m., sometimes I remember were open till like 8 or 9, so you could still sell beer or alcohol like wine that, it's less than 30%, but or 30 proof, you guys say here in America. But if it's a strong alcohol like vodka, you only can buy it from 11 till 7. Now, when Gorbachev came to power in 80s, they changed it again. So then you only could purchase alcohol starting at 2 p.m. And a lot of people got upset because they like to get drunk around lunchtime. So when it got so late, there was a lot of not happy people. But that's how Gorbachev was increasing this fight against alcoholism in Soviet Union, which is another topic why people were drinking so much. But this is what interesting detail. So from 1972, you only could buy alcohol from 11 p.m. till 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. if it's stronger than 30%. Also, it's all I got from comments from these people who really like this picture. Another guy mentioned that in the summer of 1970, government increased price for vodka. And you understand, right, that in Soviet Union there was a complete government monopoly on alcohol manufacturing, production, and you have this interesting situation. The government producing alcohol and fighting against people drinking too much. So, like usually in the capitalistic societies, like in America, you blame companies that manufacture cigarettes for people being addicted to smoking, and you blame companies that make alcohol for advertising and selling to people, promoting alcoholism. Well, in Soviet Union, it was government who was making cigarettes and then fighting against smoking and making alcohol and then fighting against people drinking. So that was this interesting kind of counter logic, counter balance, because if you have a monopoly, you're making a killing on the product, right? So in Soviet Union, there was a lot of income coming to the state coffers from selling vodka. So they kind of they want to fight it, but not too hard. And it's one of the things they claim that Gorbachev really broke the Soviet economy back, because he fought so hard against the drinkiness that people switched to making moonshine. And of course, when people manufacture moonshine, they don't pay any taxes, government don't get any income, and that's what was one of the huge impact on the Soviet economy. They lost a lot of money from collapse in sales in alcohol. So this person that he mentioned about said it was interesting for him because he left for the army while he was drafted. So he was gone from 1970 to 1973. So he said it was interesting that he left. People were kind of drinking vodka, everything's good. And said when I came back, I noticed that it was quite a bit of downgrade in drinking habits because vodka became too expensive for a lot of people. So they went down to cheap wine and started just drinking in larger volumes to get drunk. And another convenient part about drinking wine, cheap wine, especially called kripленое вино, which I should forget the English word, but when you put additional alcohol in the wine to make it stronger. So that's the wine that people preferred, but it was still below 30%. So you can buy all the way till after 7 p.m. So that was convenience. So he said, he noticed after he came back from army that suddenly people drink less vodka and more cheap, crappy wine. Okay, so that was my short story about the amazing things you can learn from the Soviet photo when you know about life in Soviet Union. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to like this video, and I love to hear your comments. And as always, have a good day. До свидания. Goodbye.